gets low, he's ready.
Whoa!
He's ready for it. But it seems like Onic Philippines are the much more ready team. They go in for the engage and start the fight, but they don't know where Kyle TZ is!
Oh!
And Kyle TZ steals away the objective. Also will be taking a kill with it, but it goes to Ogwen. Flap TZ on toward the backlines. Kelra might just be able to go for the trade, but he won't be able to dance away from all this. That's super.
Run and gun, except this time it's just running, but they're fighting!
Oh, phew, he's way, way low. He will be the first to fall. Super Prince will be traded as well. That's 2 mid laners down. But there is the quick sand guard cancelled out by Onic Philippines. Kelra still looking for the free hits. Kyle TZ though goes in for him and takes him down just before he's about to do anything. Gets a double kill as well. And Super...
It's going to be so hard unless King Kong... Oh, they go Barretts!
You got a Dimension Hopper. Is that a roam Barretts, or are you switching over to the Badang?
It's
That's a roll. It's going to be a repeat result of game number 2.
The Super Fam of the Sonic Republic, and of course the Nest of the Green Falcons. They put life and limb out to be able to be here with us tonight. Thank you all so much, especially those watching online. Welcome to game number 3, the decider in our star match of the week. Falcons versus Onic.
Oh my. Even in jungling, you could already see the difference. The pacing, which is slightly favorable for Falcons.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's a Flapcho! And it's a Roam Kali. This means they control the map even better.
How do you move as Onic Philippines, knowing that this Kali, this guy Ogwen just keeps looking for you?
Yeah, the duel though against Phoveus for Flap TZ might not be so easy for him though, because all the dashes that he has will allow Phoveus to get his enhanced basic attack quicker, which means lane dueling is going to be a bit tougher. So Flap TZ went for double boots, Wilderness Blessing and agility so he can walk faster.
Whoa, wait, does Ogwen survive this? He still gets away. And there's a quick sand guard too, which allows him to get back faster in the fight.
The master refuses to go home. He's like, I'm going to take some of these green pellets over here, quick sand guard, and continue rotating.
Oh my goodness. Now we're seeing Kyle TZ2 potentially looking for someone in the mid lane. But Super Prince will stay or keep safe.
Lane per lane, it seems like the only real losing lane for Falcons is top. Is that aforementioned Cho versus Phoveus lineup. So if they figure that out and they play that well, maybe even these turtles should look good. Ooh, Kurt gets bursted down.
And that's something King Kong might not be able to do without the help of his teammates. And speaking of, he will be together with Brusco right here, but they're being zoned out really, really well. There's almost no way for Onic to find their way in the turtle pit, and Flap TZ will serve as a sacrifice, but that's a turtle for Falcons.
Yeah, let's look back at history. Oh! No looking back, they found Brusco, and he blasts him.
Never mind, nothing is free.
Oh, my goodness. And again, this is what we're talking about in the draft. At some point, Onic, they're just going to base it off of counter punches. Did Ogwen steal it? No, he didn't. Okay, so the Barrett still got it in the end, but had to use his retribution.
Yeah, and look at King Kong. He's behind by a level.
He's just not used to playing this kind of jungler.
We're not used to seeing this too.
Again, that's what we were talking about here. King Kong's is going to be like, all right, guys, just wait for me. Give me a moment. I will get there. And the moment...
Sen says it's go time, and indeed it is. Once more, elapsed in-game time, 3 minutes. Team Falcons PH up by about 800 gold.
Yeah, and the level gap, Kyle TZ is still always in the lead compared to King Kong's Barretts. Let's see if is he gonna rush the cursed helmet? Because the last time I think we saw that it did.
He can. He's on the way.
Yeah.
He got the cloak.
Oh,
here.
wait. Could they actually look for an engage right here?
Does Marco know? I think Ogwen sees it. I think Ogwen saw it.
Yeah, they read it well because the moment Ogwen got the information that okay, they're using their diversion. Super Marco decided to hug his tower just a little bit closer and got closer to the wall so that it wouldn't be easy for Onic to dive him. And then Ogwen, well, we saw him coming up, and then he was like, no, I'm not going to pass through here.
Again, the cost of running Barats in the jungle. If you were a flicker Barats, you can maybe catch Marco, spit him out the other way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But since you're honest about it, he can just hide.
Yeah, and since Falcons just always keeps Onic within sight, just being able to damage them at least once always reveals to you wherever they're headed using the diversion. So that was very unfortunate for Onic Philippines. But could they actually attempt to contest this objective?
All right, orange secured here. Another diversion set up by Onic, sending King Kong through that pixel brush. Kelra blasted down to half health. Ogwin slashing away.
Ogwin was right there. He was ready to finish off the kill, but FlapTZ uses the way of the dragon onto Kirk. That will be the first casualty of this fight, but Kyle TZ will secure the objective. Will there be a counter engage from Onic Philippines? Because it seems like Falcons are just chasing after them, and there will be none.
It's all Falcons in that engagement. They're not even done! Prince, down to about 2 HP, walks away.
Raw physical burst, just damage and loads of it coming from Falcons. And yeah, Onic has to accept they're not going to be winning any major engagement easily up until maybe the 13th, 14th minute of this game. Falcons can just continue to control as long as they don't mess up.
Yep. I don't think he immediately went for the cursed helmet though, so he's just really building up some defense items.
Too expensive to commit that much gold into an item that needs time and the rest of your team to build up on. Another diversion here being set up by Prince. Short rotation down bottom. Again, Marco reads the map so well. Marco knows something was up. There was shenanigans afoot, so he hides once more behind his turret. About 2,500 gold. Falcons here are just taking their time. They're setting up for this next turtle. They know that they don't have to rush it. They don't have to go too fast because Onic is literally on a rail.
Yeah, and it feels so hard for Onic and their positioning reliant heroes to actually look for a or the best position whenever there is going to be a team fight. I think even recently or previously, Few was able to reserve the windstorm so much that Onic Philippines were just so cautious of it.
Yeah. And in the last time we saw Few use his ultimate, he read where Kelra would eventually enter and follow up. So this is just familiarity by Falcons, and might be on the way to seeing them get the revenge. But every time I say that, it gets cursed somehow.
We got 10 seconds until the turtle spawns. That's the curse of the champion, you know what I mean? Like, eyes on you all the time. FlapTZ here gets caught by a wall. Fist break set up by Brusco. Quick diversion.
Whoa, what a
no one home. Oh my god, this whole time Ogwin was keeping tabs on everyone.
Yeah. He just knew.
The master knows.
He felt it. He was like, something is wrong with the sands.
Oh my
Dude,
goodness.
I will not go here.
And look at where he stands. He's always right there. So whenever someone actually gets low, he's ready.
Whoa!
He's ready for it. But it seems like Onic Philippines are the much more ready team. They go in for the engage and start the fight, but they don't know where Kyle TZ is!
Oh!
And Kyle TZ steals away the objective. Also will be taking a kill with it, but it goes to Ogwin. FlapTZ on toward the backlines. Kelra might just be able to go for the trade, but he won't be able to dance away from all this. That's Super Marco on a killing spree.
Where's Prince going in the middle? Taking down Few. Looking for one more. Can Kyle survive? Prince finds at least one in the exchange. Grand Theft Turtle, Kyle TZ.
Too easy for a TZ. And it could be another kill.
Oh, wow!
And bulletproof, Marco is still 4-0-3.
No one can get to touch the bulletproof Marco. This is looking scary.
Can't touch this.
He's 2K ahead of Kelra.
He's doing it again. He's making him look like a dude in the gold lane.
If he goes back-to-back bulletproof here, you could definitely say Super Marco is back. And Team Falcons PH, tremendous draft. Run and gun, except this time it's just running, but they're fighting!
Oh, Few, he's way, way low. He will be the first to fall. Super Prince will be traded as well. That's 2 mid laners down. But there is the quick sand guard cancelled out by Onic Philippines. Kelra still looking for the free hits. Kyle TZ though goes in for him and takes him down just before he's about to do anything. Gets a double kill as well. And Super Marco once more unstoppable on the Granger.
And the Barats, left to his own devices, just smashes through a turret. I bet at a pace that King Kong's not used to. He was playing the Barats like he would a Suyo or a Fanny.
Yeah, if he wasn't a different hero, you'd see King Kong show up there, clean up house, and then turn things around for Onic. But then all he could do is get a kill on the turret.
Yeah, this entire scenario between Super Marco and Kelra, it reminds us of how it has always been, even last season. It seems like in terms of performance, comparing these two gold laners, Super Marco getting the advantage almost every single time tends to go unnoticed.
In a vacuum, yes, Kelra does have an edge over Marco. But you look at their career all across the board, you would be looking at Marco and saying, yeah, we have to reconsider if this is as even a fight as we once thought. Lord Spawn down bottom. This is the first Lord of the game. What? Oh, I can't believe the words coming out. It's the first Lord.
Yeah, so much has happened.
We're at 12 and 5, not even 10 minutes in.
And he's still level 11, whereas Kyle is 15.
Approaching the 8-minute mark.
7.3 around that K gold lead for Falcons too.
The 8K gold lead, rather.
This is...
I've lost it. What?
I cannot believe what I'm seeing as well. But it still
Locked
feels
in.
like Onic wants to contest this. Regardless of that gap, regardless of this lead.
They have to. They have to try. But Falcons, they are in a really good position right now. They shift 3 into the middle side brush. Oh, okay. They've sort of let go from the objective a little bit because they saw so many members of Onic. They sent Kyle TZ up top with Ogwin shadowing him just in case. And that baits the diversion. No, it doesn't.
And they can afford to do this. They rotate much faster. They find one!
Super Marco nearly knew it, but their target was FLCN. They will successfully take out the XP laner for Falcons, but that's the Raging Sandstorm. They get to target Kirk, and they will be traded too. Both XP laners are gone.
So if the math checks out, about 8,000 gold is equal to a hero. They traded Flap just for the firepower enough in Onic to not be a valid game changer anymore.
Yeah, and Falcons are continuing the trend of letting go of the Lord. Okay, we're not going to get anything there since Flap's down. They're slow pushing up top, which Onic has to think about. They're going to lose that tower, but they're willing to give it. And Superfriend's still looking for angles for diversion, which you have to watch out for the shrubs in the lower part of the jungle of Falcons, but Falcons are rushing this Lord.
Oh no, will they be able to make it? There's the rush by Falcons, and they get a clutch way of the Dragon of the Superfriends as well. Takes him out of the diversion and takes him out of the game as well. There's the Detona welcome onto Super Marco, and they will be traded out. But will that be enough for the Super Fam? Because they lose 3 in the process, and they're just trying to minimize the damage. Kirk decides to go in, saving Bruce at the expense of his life. And now 4 members are down. There's still a Lord marching up top.
Idol Namak Kid survived that whole debacle. A soft veil in the middle of 3 chunky boys walks away like nothing happened.
And now Onic look like they're gonna crumble. Minion waves are still gonna be coming in. They are tanky, they can hold. The Phoveus takes a while to go down, but they still do not have the damage. 8,000 is the gold lead for Team Falcons, and priceless is the control that they have on the map.
If Onic were happy with one thing, it was that they were probably able to shut down Super Marco in that most recent sequence. The stats onto the Sky Piercer also slightly minimized, but that's just that.
Wherever the gold went, it went to the wrong person. If some way, somehow it went to Kelra or maybe Prince, it would have been worth it. But if I'm not mistaken, it went to Blue Score or Kirk, one of them. So the gold difference, the way that they shrank or, you know, stopped the bleeding when it comes to economy, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't all that.
With the lead that Falcons has, though, there's a thought scratching in my head. If ever Onic can still hold out a little bit longer, will their lineup actually be way too tanky for Falcons to handle eventually and just have Super Prince and Kelra and even Kirk be such a massive nuisance for Falcons to deal with that they can't respond anymore?
Not tough enough to protect them from the inevitable damage that Marco and Few are dealing. It's the perfect mix. It's great range. It's a great profile. There's a good amount of burst and DPS. And they're across magic and physical.
Yeah,
I don't think all of Onic can do that.
And if they do decide to pull or put in all of the resources into a single team fight, that'll most likely be them grouped up together, which few would really want to happen.
Not to mention Kyle. I didn't even make Kyle part of the formula. He hasn't died yet either. He's sitting at 6-0 and 5. He's a burst machine.
Yeah, and he's at that point where he could deal bursts in quick succession. It's not just, okay, I've used my fracture, I'm done here. It's, I've used my fracture, I can still hurt you even without it.
And he doesn't even have the sad sword yet. He's on the way.
He's about to complete his item builds, where Marco, he's already completed his. So this is like an additional layer that Onic Philippines has to consider, the wind of nature for Super Marco.
Uh-oh.
Oh, but wait,
This could be massive.
they're positioned really well.
Onic waits.
Oh, wait. Kyle.
They can sense it though.
They have a...
Oh!
Oh!
The use of the buff!
All right, that's a quick response with the conceal play. Oh, they catch 2 members though, but there's the counter Raging Sandstorm, but look at the damage coming in from Kelra, and they will be bursting down Flap TZ first and foremost. They lose their XP laner right before the Lord.
For the first time in about 15 minutes, Onic actually find a winning trade for free. Nothing paid for. Flap TZ just drops.
Onic PH. Not gonna lie, I think we might be getting closer to my fears, but they're chasing King Kong!
Oh, the Cyclone Eye saves him from the windstorm.
And he even uses his Detonus Welcome really quickly to dash right away!
And he lives!
Oh, the jungler for Onic Philippines survives for this Lord take. And Falcons, they lost Flap TZ earlier, so they're making extra effort just to look for the openings, but Kirk gets bursted down just as I mentioned it. And who will be able to get hold of this objective? It's going to be King Kong at the expense of Brusco. There's Raging Sandstorm, but he doesn't have the flicker to go in anymore. King Kong being chased by 3. Super Princess Kelra running away because King Kong can no longer survive.
A Barats like that ain't walking away from the type of damage Falcon is outputting. Yes, they took the Lord, but it will be in vain. Onic PH still staring down the barrel of a loaded gun.
Kirk 6 seconds from coming back. It will be 5 versus 3. It's going to be a tough defense, but doable for Onic. Bruce goes back in 7.
Ogun goes in, tanks in some of the turret shots. Flap TZ doesn't have the way of the dragon just yet, but they will be able to take down all the base turrets. And they might be contented with just that.
Bottom and mid, permanent damage dealt to Onyx base. Top lane, their only shelter, the last bastion of Onyx comeback. Looking at the items, I'm wondering, right? You saw the damage that Falcons can output. Again, Kyle TZ is still sitting with 0 deaths. Do you start building like a Twilight armor?
Yeah, at some point you're going to really need some anti-burst.
Can you afford it?
If you're Onic, I think they can. They have to get Twilight armors onto them. Especially their tanky frontliners. Again, they have the lineup that can thrive in long scenarios. If you survive that burst, you should be able to turn things around. Good itemization, by the way, by Flap TZ. His 3rd item is the Blade Armor. So if he gets picked off and Keller decides to hurt him, he's going to be dishing out just a little bit more hurt back towards Keller as well.
Oh, you're right. The only person who could hurt him is Friends.
Yep.
Oh no, at this point, and speaking of Prince, he needs to use the diversion very precisely. It's been a common trend for Falcons to always check the brushes and sense whenever there is a diversion play coming in from Super Friends. And it just so happened that luckily for Onic, even despite them being spotted out by Falcons, they were able to be the ones taking the pick.
Oh!
Okay, that hurt. Oh,
Phew.
goodness.
That's some crazy damage. Look at the damage dealt. Top 3, all members of Team Falcons PH, Super Marco, Kyle TZ, and the few.
How often do you see a triple core setup work like this?
Oh, it's rare. It's greedy, some people would say. But again, with the speed that Falcons played this, it worked.
Yeah.
BFB there for King Kong's Barretts. And I think we've gotten to the point that despite an 8K gold lead, Falcons will have more resources for the buy and sell. But Onic PH are within grasp now to turn it around from one sequence. Falcons have to be very careful because if they're not, Onic PH might just pounce and take advantage.
Just a handful of seconds before an enhanced, nay, an evolved Lord spawns in the lower quarter. Again, 20 kills to 8 in favor of Falcons. We don't get to this point very often in Filipino matchups, but if you get a triple core setup like this, you get heroes like Falcons have, it does happen. Oh, triple core setup. The cores of Onic were sent into that fence brush. I wonder if Falcons know.
They weren't even able to take down that tier 1 turret up top. The minions weren't enough, and now Falcons are most likely fully aware that Onic Philippines are already complete towards the bottom side of this map.
Looking at the items, already a Twilight Armor there that we mentioned earlier, built up for Kirk.
Oh.
Only one on the side of Onic PH.
Oh.
Immortality already built up for FlapTZ's Cho, as he is the most susceptible to getting picked off.
Yep.
And he is the one getting frontline vision. So this is what we were talking about earlier in game number 2, is FlapTZ getting vision for Ogwin.
Yeah, and Super Prince also has the Winter Crown, just in case there are some clutch plays that might come in.
Yeah.
So
It's so even right now. Again, this is what we were talking about earlier. Falcons have acknowledged it, that Onic have caught up in terms of the resources. How easy with the potion. It's going to be a lot of damage dished out by this Nolan.
Yep.
And they're keeping him scarce. Like, he would show up just now, but then hide again. Diversion.
Oh!
The quarter gets his view.
they find Few and force out the Windstorm too.
The
But it
knockup.
seems like Kirk, he's found his target. He's on to Super Marco, forcing out the Wind of Nature, and he will fall. But they zoned out Falcons really, really well. Even forced out the flicker from Master Ogwen, and now they're in full control of this Lord. But will Kyle TZ make something happen? Will he actually get to close in onto the members of Onic Philippines? There goes the Detona's welcome, and on the other side of the map, it's gonna be Brusco traded too. It's a double kill for Super Marco as well, and it seems like they're chasing after Onic.
And they're not done. They can actually finish this. Friends gets compromised.
There's the Winter Crown used, but a second too late. It's only Kelra, the gold standard, left alone. And in the battle of the world champions, Falcons shall prevail.
Falcons are here, and they take the series 2-1.
What a series showed up. Falcons sent down to the lower bracket in MPL Philippines Season 14 playoffs by the team that they just beat, by the team that just won.